Okay, so with that, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us for our information session in our Master's in Drug Development and Product Management. I will start off with introducing myself. My name is Cynthia Grande, and I happen to be the Career Advisor and Outreach Manager for the DDPM program. And this job essentially is to help the students from start to finish in their life cycle with career development and also help promote the program. With that, I'll let Kat Lukens and Professor Atadvi introduce themselves.
Thank you, Cynthia. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. It's good to see you all. I know it's virtual, but still great to see you joining. My name is Kat Lukens, and I am the program advisor for this program, Drug Development and Product Management, as well as another one of our leadership programs in our department. So I work with students from the very beginning, from your interests, when you start to inquire about the program and to begin an application all the way through matriculation and then through graduation. I'm here for academic support and other means of support. So good to meet you all. I'll pass it.
Just joined too.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is William Etwati. I am the managing director for the program. And in the next few minutes, I will be telling you about the program, the curriculum, and the career opportunities. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to have you here, and we will leave some time for questions at the end for you to ask us any questions.
Naomi just hopped on the call if she wants to do a little brief introduction. She happens to be an alumni of our program.
Sounds great.
Sure. Hi there, everyone. Apologies for being late. Some technical issues with Zoom. I'm on my work computer, not my phone, but it's very nice to meet all of you. I am a graduate of the DDPM cohort. Just graduated this past summer. But yeah, I'm currently a consultant. I work in health outcomes research and very excited to be with all of you today.
Thank you, Naomi. Good to see you.
You too.
All right, so let me jump in and tell you about why we created this master. And the reason we created this master was actually after we had a few courses on Coursera, which some of you may have already found. And when we reached about 100,000 students, we realized that there was a need for a much more in-depth degree. So we did some benchmark analysis and looked at what existed out there. And we realized that there was no program that would take drug development from 2 years pre-IND, initial new drug application, all the way to post-market utilization. So if you think about it, kind of like combining the drug development research with the business aspect. And the goal of the master is basically to train leaders in the biomedical revolution and really people who are trying to advance their career and change. So we have many students who came from the lab, where they want to go into regulatory affairs, or they want to go into management, they want to go into commercial organization, they want to go into clinical, but they don't have the tools. So that's the reason why we created this master's program. Next slide, please. So as I briefly mentioned, there is really a number of value proposition that we developed. And the idea is what's in it for you at the end of the day, okay? And Amy will speak about this in a moment, but I'll tell you why we created it and what we believe is the value. So first of all, you're going to acquire new translatable skills in science and business, as I was just mentioning. And I'll discuss them in a minute, but you have them here on the slide, both on the development side, the marketing side, the entrepreneurship side. You are going to have opportunities to network with many pharma and biotech executives. I can tell you in my courses last year, I had in marketing something like 10 pharmaceutical executives that came to talk to the students. And in one of the other courses in entrepreneurship and corporate law and IP law, I had 6 CEOs that came to talk to the students. And all the courses are like this. You're going to have an amazing opportunity to network. In addition to this, our program is now in its 5th year, and we have now surpassed 100 basically students / alum, which means that, and you will see as well in the presentation, you will be able to network with many of the students and the alumni who represents many pharmaceutical and biotech companies. One other unique feature of the program is the fact that you will be assigned at the beginning of the program a faculty / industry mentor, which will help you in developing what we call a strategic and tactical career plan, which if you are interested, I'll let you know more a little bit afterwards in the questions. But this is, again, something very unique that we created within the program. And at the end of the day, why would you do such a program? It's really to advance your career and to acquire new proficiencies in areas that you didn't even know potentially existed, or if you knew what they existed, were not sure how to get there. Next slide, please. So the proficiencies you'll acquire, and I can't list them all on here, but I'm just going to give you a few of them. You'll learn how to file an IND and an NDA. Of course, you are not going to do it in real, but you are going to understand all the requirements. You're going to learn how to write clinical protocols. Actually, you will have to write clinical protocols. You're going to learn how to create a full marketing plan with market research and launch plan, as well as the importance of pharmacoeconomics to demonstrate value of a drug. You are not going to become a lawyer, but you are going to understand IP strategy and why is intellectual property so important in the pharmaceutical industry and how to protect basically assets. You will learn finance in terms of analyzing income statements, balance sheet, cash flow. You will learn valuation, which is also very important if you are interested in doing corporate development or business development. And at the end of the day, you will also learn how to raise capital by creating a life science company based from technology from university or the NIH or the CDC. Next slide, please. In addition to these, what I would call hardcore skills that you are going to learn, is you're going to also get competencies in emotional intelligence. And what that is basically some of you may be not comfortable to speak in public or to speak in front of a class or in front of a group of people. You are going to have to do this because you're going to be working in teams, similar as what you are doing right now if you are working in a company. And you're going to have to make presentations. A lot of the courses require you to actually develop full projects and present to the faculty and to industry mentors and speakers. You are also going to acquire skills on how to do better time management, because if you don't, you will have major problem in doing the program. And this is one of the questions very often we ask students when we interview them. What are your time management skills and how do you manage your time when you have multiple conflicting projects that you have to deliver upon? And very importantly, you will also, thanks to Cynthia and Kat, learn how to create solid bridges to employment opportunities through networking. I also teach a course in networking, but Cynthia will help you with your CV in terms of making sure that it is up to snuff and that your profile on, especially like on LinkedIn, is also going to attract other employers. Next slide, please. So I was telling you about networking. Here you are. This is only a few of the companies that our alumni are actually working for. So as you can see right there already, if you were to be admitted into the program, you would be able to reach out directly to the alumni who is working in all these companies. And what does that do? Well, it's very simple. If one of these companies has a job opportunity that you are interested in, you contacting the alum and the alum sending your CV to the hiring manager will put you on top of the pile. rather than being number 6,520. I mean, I'm exaggerating here because hopefully there's not as many applicants for the job you are looking at. But this is, you understand the point. So again, this is what we offer, which is really a big part of doing a graduate degree. Next slide, please. So you could ask, what kind of jobs do our alumni get? And first of all, we don't have 100% alumni reported career advancement, but we have a 99.7 alumni reported career advancement. And that means either the students or the alum, got new jobs and sometimes changed job, especially for the ones who graduated 5 years ago, a couple of times already and got promoted. So they either changed company or they were promoted within their organization, probably less than 3 months, sometime right during they are doing their master's degree. And you can see here the titles, okay? We also have students who actually have VP positions. We have students who have achieved complete transformation, meaning, for example, going from being a paralegal to work as in clinical trial, or to work in software development, and now to work in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. And as you can see from all these titles as well, it covers both regulatory strategy or regulatory affairs. It covers clinical development. It covers commercialization, marketing. It covers operation. So as you can see, the breadth of types of career opportunities you can go after are quite substantial. Next, please. The countries that are represented in DPM is pretty much around the world. Actually, this year we have also a student from Russia. But as you can see, we have students from around the world. We really don't care about where students come from. We are interested in students who have experience in the pharmaceutical industry, at least 1 to 3 years of work experience, and have actually demonstrated accomplishments within their experience and are interested in exploring new opportunities. Next slide, please. So let me tell you a little bit more about the program. The program is, as maybe Naomi will tell you, intense, okay? It is 36 units. It is over 3 quarters, and it is 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for 4 hours during those 3 days. As you can see here, we start in Q1 with 4 courses. The one that I teach, Opportunities in Pharma and Biotech, one in Pharmacotherapy and Disease that Dr. Williford teaches, who's a PharmD PhD. In that course, you are going to learn about all the different diseases and which one are really important, where there are drug development happening as well. So it's trying to explain to you already the disease before you go into a lot more detail, as well as the pharmacotherapy. The other one that Dr. Reed teaches is Pharmaceutics for Small Molecule and Macromolecule. As you know, in the pharmaceutical industry, it is absolutely essential to have a pharmaceutical delivery. And macromolecules have challenges. You know, we are still looking for oral macromolecule delivery, but this is also very important. It's not necessary, it's not sufficient to have a compound that is a drug, that has been demonstrated as a drug, at least preclinically. If you don't have a formulation, you don't have a product. And then in that quarter, you are also going to learn from Dr. Momper about preclinical and clinical regulatory submissions, so how to file an IND and an NDA. The course I teach in that quarter is called Opportunities in Pharma, Biotech, and Managed Care. And that's where you will develop your strategic and tactical career plan, and you will be paired with a mentor. In that course, in addition to that, you will be introduced to case study. And I use a lot of case study from Harvard Business School, which you will be actually doing in courses in Q2 and Q3. All of these courses require you to work in teams and require you to work on projects in teams, which is very important for you to understand. In Q2, Dr. Ma and Dr. Kern, who is actually at Pfizer, will be teaching you how to develop a drug from phase 0 to phase 3 study, because this is critical when you are trying to get a drug approved on the market. There again, you will really work in teams and you will learn on case studies that Dr. Ma and Dr. Kern will teach you. The other course is called Health Outcome Evidence, taught by Dr. Cuomo. Health outcome evidence is absolutely essential because it's not sufficient anymore to demonstrate that a drug is safe and effective. You also need to demonstrate value. And this is a course that is actually very well paired with the course that myself and Dr. Doshi, who is Vice President of Pharmacoeconomics in the biotech company, teaches as well that quarter, which is in Principle of Marketing Strategy and Pharmacoeconomics. Value becomes absolutely essential to demonstrate. So in the Principle of Marketing Strategy, you will develop an entire marketing plan. And I'm proud to say, like the other courses, many students who had zero understanding of marketing and pharmacoeconomics are now senior product manager, marketing manager, and work now on the commercial side of the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. The same goes for clinical trial development. The same goes for Dr. Momper in regulatory strategy. It has opened doors to many students in that area. Finally, in Q3, you will learn about biologics, biosimilar, and I should add, cell therapy, gene therapy, and new modalities of treatment. This is taught by 3 faculty, Dr. Chen, who's actually president and chief medical officer of a biotech company. Dr. Ma and Dr. Van de Castelli are at the School of Pharmacy. And in that course, again, you'll have a lot of guest speakers and you will learn about the unique perspective on how you develop biosimilar biologics, as well as these new therapies, which are very different than small molecule. Another course that's going to be also very important is the course that's being taught by Dr. Nogel and Dr. Petri. And the course is actually broken out in 2 pieces. One is project management, which Dr. Nogel teaches. She's also vice president, I believe, in a biotech company. And that will be essential for you to really understand all the different aspects of project management. Dr. Petri, Miss Petri, she's not a doctor, but she has an MBA, and actually some of the other, I guess, lecturers also have MBAs, will be teaching you about the managed market and getting access. It's not enough to get approval if the managed care organization, Medicare, does not have your drug on their formulary. Your drug will not be approved. It will be approved, but it will not be selling very well. So this is a course that is absolutely essential for you to have, to better understand, even if you don't plan to work in managed care, to better understand how organizations like Kaiser, like Cigna, like Aetna make decision in getting a drug onto the formulary. And then the seminal course is the last one I teach with 2 new co-chair. Actually, I see one of them is missing, but that's okay. One is actually a partner at a law firm, and the other one is a director of IP. And this will be in entrepreneurship, corporate law, and IP law. And there you will learn how to put together an entire an entire business plan with finance and strategy in that area. Next slide, please. So who are we looking for? Briefly, professional working in the life science industry. You need to have an undergraduate degree, a 4-year undergraduate degree. We have PharmDs, MDs, MBA, other advanced degrees that are actually engineers, actually, that are in the program as well. And we are looking at domestic and international students. We interview every single student that gets accepted in the program as well. That is another unique proposition of the program. Next slide, please. And with that, I will stop talking and turn it over to Naomi.
Sure. Thanks, Williams. Hopefully you guys can see me. I can only see your screen, but I think I'm here. Yeah, it's very nice to meet you all. As
Your
Williams
video is off, Naomi.
Oh, is it? How about now? Can you see me?
Now it works. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so as Williams mentioned, I graduated from the DDPM cohort just this last summer in June. To give you a bit of background on myself and what brought me to the DDPM program, I graduated undergrad in 2019 and had worked for a couple of years in industry. I worked at a small consulting company doing health outcomes research. So when Williams mentioned there's a course on health outcomes, how do we establish a product's value? What's the actual benefit to patients? That's the area of industry that I was in and am still currently in. But a lot of my colleagues at the time, had advanced degrees, mostly MPHs or PhDs in biostatistics, things like that. And I knew that wasn't the path for me. I wanted really to learn more in depth about the industry. And I felt like the knowledge and experience that I was looking for just wasn't there for me in my job. And if it was, would take me a really long time to acquire. So I felt like the DDPM program was a perfect fit for me because it really just accelerates your learning into all aspects of industry. At the time, I had just a very small window into the entire drug development pipeline and knew I wanted to learn more. So that was the original kind of driver for me. Went to the DDPM program, was really focused on growing in my career and knowing I wanted to take the next step to advance. And I did just that. So Williams had mentioned the STCP, the Career Development Plan, and that was something that in the program you'll be paired with a faculty mentor who can help you along the way to develop your career plans and goals when it comes time to deciding what jobs to apply for, interviewing, salary negotiations, all of that is available to you if you ask for it. And if you are really strategic with the goals that you set. And then as far as, the actual learning and knowledge that I gained through the program, I think for me, that was the most beneficial. Towards the end of the program, I started looking for jobs and interviewing. And that was something that Williams, who was my faculty mentor, helped me with a lot. Just, identifying the right jobs. And when I was interviewing, identifying, interview practice, when I got offers, kind of figuring out, okay, what's really the best fit for me and my goals. To give you a couple of, I think, more tangible examples of how the program helped me in the interview process, but then even in my now new job. So one was in interviews. The program really teaches you critical thinking skills. And I was able to implement the knowledge that I learned from our marketing class, our business development class, in interviews. One, I had a case study where they asked me to provide a value proposition for a drug. And I was able to think back to a case study that we had done in class and kind of be able to think in the same way and apply that learning. In my new job, two examples I want to give just to show you the kind of knowledge that you'll get from the program, how you could implement it in your current job or future career. I was added to a project where actually the client was a client who had studied in the program, and it was a product that I had studied in our marketing classes, our marketing presentation. And so I was able to implement, the things that I learned from the marketing class into a real world setting in my job. And similarly for clinical trials, I think it's the winter semester, there's a clinical trial class where you'll learn all about clinical development. And you'll learn, how to build a target product profile. You'll learn what a clinical development plan is and what goes into that. And the project that I had worked for in that class was for a heart failure drug. And of course, new job, one of the first projects I'm added to is with the team working on a clinical development plan in heart failure. And I could, think back and even pull up the slides that we had developed in the DDPM class to say, oh, what are the typical endpoints for heart failure. So of course that's coincidental and it might not work out that way, but certainly there's a lot of learning and yeah, that critical thinking ability that you'll be able to apply really readily as you move on through your career. So that's all I'll say, but yeah, happy at the end to answer any questions from the student perspective.
Thank you,
so
Naomi.
much. Yeah, thanks, Naomi. It's really neat to see where you started and then where you propelled yourself through the program and through hard work. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
It's neat to see how applicable the curriculum can be to your own professional life. So thank you again. We're going to move on to some more of the logistics about the program. So overall, our DDPM program you can expect to be paying around $32,000 for the course or for the program of 3 quarters. That includes all of your per unit tuition fees as well as campus registration fees. So campus registration fees cover your entrance to things like the UCSD library, which is a really wonderful, very helpful resource for students on campus. And then you have access to the student services center, to career services, to the gym, a whole slew of resources on campus. So that's why you pay those fees quarterly per each quarter. And then moving on to the structure of the program. So the reason why we made sure that classes would be in the afternoon is because we're taking into account that most of you are working, right? So you're either full-time employees or you're part-time employees. Some of you might not be working at the moment, but when you're in this program, we want to make sure it's a bit flexible for you. So once you get out of work, you can come to campus at UCSD in person to our SCAG School of Pharmacy. And the classes start at 4 p.m. and they end at 8 p.m. for 3 days of the week on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So you won't have any classes on Mondays or on Fridays. And then that's just a set schedule for all the students. Okay, so admissions requirements. One thing I always like to highlight is there's no GRE or GMAT required to apply to the program. A lot of people think that's very helpful. We do require a bachelor's degree to apply from an accredited university. So it can be from any university in the US that is accredited by an official accrediting institution, or from a whole multitude of international universities or colleges that are accredited. And then a GPA of 3.0. So we like to highlight this as being a very important component of the admissions process, because we're really looking for a cohort of around, excuse me, about 30 to 35 students, something like, rather small. So our, sorry, I need a sip of water. We're really looking for students whose academic candor is up to speed. So we're looking for at least 3.0 GPA. And then work experience. We'd like students to have at least 2 to 3 years of working experience. So, if you're still in undergrad school or you're about to graduate, we might suggest that you wait a year or two and gain some very applicable, as Naomi said, very applicable work experience before joining the program, because you might be a bit behind if you are just fresh out of undergrad. Occasionally, we will consider an internship to kind of step in place for a year of work experience. It just depends. It's very much a case-by-case basis. And then the statement of purpose. So this is an essay where, again, it's a very important part of the application. It's your opportunity really to show why DDPM specifically is of interest to you. We know that there are so many different master's programs out there. We feel that ours is very unique, and, research is showing that it is. However, we want to make sure that you're really highlighting why this program will help you. What are your goals professionally, and what are you hoping to achieve, throughout the program and then afterward? And that essay can be, 500 words, or it can be longer if needed. And then we do require a resume, and as Williams had mentioned, we do have a resume workshop at the very beginning of the first quarter, and we're looking for resumes in your application that are already formatted very nicely, that aren't, out of place or have very kind of any editing or grammar mistakes. We really want to make sure that your resume is in top shape, because that will reflect, right, how you perform as a student in the program. And then a TOEFL or IELTS score. So this is applicable to international students, but only certain students. So for an example, I'll give an example that, so let's see, if you went to a university somewhere not in the United States that uses English as the language of testing or testing and instruction, then you can go ahead and waive that requirement on the application page itself. Then there's other options to waive that requirement. Say your English is fluent, but you grew up in an English speaking country or a country with a different language, but you are fluent in English. We just need some proof, and you can waive that requirement. So it just depends. And then 3 letters of recommendation. This is also, again, a very integral part of the application. So we want to see that at least one of your letters is coming from a current supervisor or boss of yours. So somebody who manages you, who sees your work every day. And also another letter potentially from a previous manager. We will also accept, a letter from a mentor, somebody who's had a lot of influence in your professional and maybe even personal life. And then there's always the option of providing a letter from an advisor from your undergrad university or another school program that you had pursued. And then the last component, which is unique to our program, actually, we do interview. We don't interview 100% of the applicants, but we interview you if your profile, so all of your components that you see here, if they seem to match what we're looking for in a candidate in our program, we'll go ahead and contact you. Interviews are about 30 minutes. They're rather informal, but of course we want to make sure that you're polished and you're acting as if it's an interview for a job, prepared with questions for us, because we just want to see why you'd be a good fit for the program. Moving on. Okay. So our website has been recently revamped, and it's actually getting continuous updates with exciting backgrounds from our alumni. So when alumni graduate, we like to gather their stories and even get video clips of what they're up to and how they progress through the program, and if they got a promotion or a new job or anything. So you can check those things out at our website at ddpm.ucsd.edu. You'll also find faculty profiles, so you can read about their background. We have a lot of industry professionals come in as guest lecturers as well. There's the full breakdown of the curriculum on our website, where you can actually see more in depth what you're going to be covering every quarter in every class. And then if you have extra questions, of course, we're going to take time right now to answer some of your questions, but more can always come up, and you can email us at ddpm@ucsd.edu. And then our application deadline should be the last slide here. Okay, so June 15th, 2023, you have a lot of time. This is our very first information session of the new fall 2023 admissions cycle. So, I think the sooner that you get your application in, the better, because slots do start to fill up, but definitely take your time and make sure to provide a very solid application. We'll take questions, I think.
All right, thank you, Kat. One thing I would just mention on the application, take your time, but at the same time, since we do rolling admission, make sure that if you are really interested, the sooner you apply, the better it is, because once the 33 to 35 spots are filled, we don't accept students anymore. So just, from that perspective, just do a great application, because as Kat mentioned, your letters of reference are critical, and take the time to apply, ask questions. Kat and Cynthia are here to answer your questions. But as I mentioned, this is rolling enrollment. So I see a couple of questions on the chat, which I'm going to answer first. The first question is the program a good fit for a mid-career, over 10 years professional from life science industry? So I'll just give you the answer. Last year, we had 5 students, alum now, that had 20 years of work experience in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. So, you would have to speak with them, but my answer is yes. It doesn't matter how many years of life science industry experience you have. One of these students actually was, promoted to a vice president level. So again, that is definitely a good fit. It depends what you are looking for. How does that previous master factor in the admission decision, favorable, unfavorable? It really, it is favorable depending on the master that you have. It is not going to be unfavorable, obviously, if you have other degrees. I mentioned we actually have MDs, we have PharmDs, so much more, PhDs even, actually, much more advanced degree that are applying and are in the program. So it doesn't matter in terms of, as long as you have an undergrad, if you have masters, more power to you, and that's great. And then the final question from that student was, is the option for an internship in a life science company for international students possible? The answer is not during the school year. And that is not because we don't want to do that, but because of federal laws, basically, that says that you have to have been in the US for at least a year or graduated before you can do an internship in a life science company. Our program does not have an internship. And the reason is because I would say 85% of our students work full-time. They have full-time job. They go to school at night. Our international students who come to the US cannot work full-time during the program, except maybe at UCSD. If you can find a position in a lab or something like this, not as a student, but as an employee, that is possibility. But again, Kat can address this more in depth for those of you who are interested in that. Unfortunately, I'll continue with a list of questions. Unfortunately, at this time, the program is at UCSD. We have not been approved for fully online. We were fully online, or remote, I should say, not fully online, during the pandemic. And that was because of pandemic situation. But this year, we actually are hybrid, meaning that we have courses that are on campus, and we have sometimes Zoom courses, actually Zoom lectures, because we have guest speakers, let's say, that are in the UK or are on the East Coast or in San Francisco and cannot come to San Diego just for an hour. So at this point, that is not possible to be fully online. Continuing on the list of questions, Kat, maybe you want to address this. Would the program evaluation consider waiving the need for IELT? We actually had, I believe, a student from Kenya already, because the Kenyan education system is in English as primary mode of teaching.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So with what you just mentioned there, using, Kenya using English as primary mode of teaching, you can go ahead and waive that requirement right on the application itself. You'll see the section where it states TOEFL, IELTS, and you can just check the box to waive it. And then it'll ask for your reasoning. And the first sentence there that you wrote, that's your reasoning, because English was used. Okay. Good question. Let's see.
All good question. And there's another question. Is the interview part of the application process? Yes. Once you have submitted your application, as Kat mentioned, the faculty reviews. First of all, Kat reviews the application, make sure that you have everything that is necessary for us to review your application. Then the faculty and the faculty steering committee review application, and then we decide to interview or not. It is not, we have many students that applied that were not interviewed because their profile did not match what we were looking for. Once you are interviewed, hopefully the interview goes well and you interview with the faculty, you interview us the same way you interview you. Then we decide again, there is the faculty steering committee meets again and decide whether or not it's acceptance or not, or you are on the wait list. If you're accepted from the faculty, then it needs to go to the graduate division. And if your application is not complete, the graduate division can sit on it. So that's where it becomes really critical that you have that. But again, the graduate division makes the final call as to whether or not you will be accepted in the program, and they double check everything that you said on your resume. They double check your degrees. They double check, the fact that you are employed or not, and what you said is actually truthful. Okay. What is the historical acceptance rates for this program? So we are fairly new. Okay, as I mentioned, this is our 5th year. At the beginning, we started with 18 students. Then we went to, I believe, 22, then 25, then last year 32, and this year we have 37 students, our largest cohort ever, which we are going to keep at around 35. We don't want to go beyond that because we want to keep, again, that personal access to all the faculty, personal mentoring, and a sense of camaraderie in between the students as well. So 35 is the maximum that we will accept for next year. So having said this, we have had, I don't know, over 150 applications last year, if I remember correctly, that were reviewed. Again, we are fortunate enough to have a lot of applications that are actually potential good fit for the program. So it's not like a 6% rate, but it's still, let's say that the acceptance rate is now going down in terms as we are getting more and more applications. If we have 200 applications this year, again, we are looking only at 35 students. So you do the math, okay? All I can tell you is that it's competitive. We will not accept anyone just because we have to make numbers, okay? If you are accepted in the program, it's because the faculty felt that you would be a good match for the program and would be a great student. Are there full scholarships for interested students? The answer is no. We have merit scholarship. Unfortunately, we are a program that is self-supported, meaning that the tuitions basically support the program. We don't get resources from the state of California, unfortunately, even though it's a fully accredited degree from UCSD. So we do not have full scholarships. We have merit scholarship that student can apply after they have been accepted in the program. You're an MPH student, have a B Farm, currently full-time employed in South Africa. So this is not a course. It is a master's degree, and yes, you could be accepted as an MPH in the program if you fit the profile, as long as you have had work experience. We don't, so another question on medical device, we don't talk about medical devices in the program, but one new thing we talk about, and we actually talked about this last year, that was actually the first time we introduced it, was prescription digital therapeutics. I just gave a lecture, actually, a new lecture. Naomi, if you are interested, I'll send it to you. On Tuesday for our students on this new areas of prescription digital therapeutics. Yes, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. Please go ahead. I'm tired of talking. Please ask questions to Naomi as well.
Hello, my name is Tanya, and I'm currently actually an undergraduate degree holder. I am studying right now, so I'm doing a BPharm degree with an MBA degree together. So it's a 5-year course. I don't have a lot of work experience. I've only done an internship for 4 months. So I just want to know, do I fit in the requirements for this course? Because it's a very interesting course, and I would definitely like to progress my career into the business side of the pharmaceutical industry.
So I'll be really blunt for you. Go get a job after you graduate work for a year, and then apply to the program.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you. So
I don't want to give you any false hope or anything like this. Don't waste your time. If you just have an internship of a few months, go get a job for a year and then apply to the program.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, is there student housing available for incoming students in this program? Kat, do you want to answer that?
Yes. Yeah. So UCSD being a very, very large public university, we have undergraduate student housing, and then we also have a whole separate department and team dedicated to graduate student housing. And then there are also options for international students where they connect you with other international students looking for housing, where you could potentially room with somebody or get your own separate place. So all of those resources, once a whole cohort is accepted and starting to matriculate, that's when we share the information all about housing. But it can also be found on UCSD's website just by looking at UCSD Graduate Division Housing.
Okay, let me read. There's a couple more questions. How does the Coursera drug discovery specialization integrate into this degree?
Yeah, that's
Elisa?
what I mean. Nice to meet you. My name's Timur. It's nice
Hi,
to see
Timur.
you. Sorry also about coming in late. I had a customer call. I'm on the commercial side of things for
That's
biotech
okay.
businesses. And yeah, that's how I found out about this program. It looks really interesting. That's where I'm starting. And so watched you earlier today and now in person. And I'm curious about, sad to hear that's not online because I live in San Francisco now, but from San Diego. So I might have to move back for this. But yeah, how does the course, does it integrate at all?
So I'm going to be honest here again. The specialization on Coursera has not been updated for many years.
Yeah.
And it's outdated. I'm amazed that students still take it. It's a good way for people who have never worked in the pharmaceutical industry and biotech industry to, I would say, drop their toe in the water and look at what this is all about. It does not, so Coursera courses are, I would say, half an inch thick and a mile wide.
Yeah.
The master's degree is a mile deep and as well as, maybe a mile wide. So it gives you a sense of what you expect, what is to be expected, but it is nowhere near the depth, the rigor, and the intensity, I would say, of the master. Naomi, I don't remember if you had done actually the courses on Coursera or not, but
No, I hadn't. But yeah, just speaking from experience from the DDPM program, all of the coursework is super topical and relevant. Obviously, like my cohort, we're coming kind of at the heels of COVID. So a lot of case studies were based on, very relevant anecdotes and case studies from the pandemic, from recent drug approvals. So everything is really, I think, well updated and in real time, which was very cool to see.
Yeah, I should mention, actually, thank you, Naomi. I should mention that every year, each faculty updates at least 25% of their courses. As I was mentioning, I just gave a new lecture on Tuesday, which was in prescription digital therapeutics, which is a new area, which I had never taught before. And the other thing I would mention also is that I change the case study every single year. I ask every single year Harvard to send me new case studies. You will also do simulations that Harvard business students use and other top MBA schools uses as well. So again, that's another thing. We pride ourselves of teaching you what is happening today in the industry, which is why we have a plethora of guest speakers from industry. I mean, as I mentioned, in my marketing course, we had, I think between Dr. Doshi and I, over 12 or 13 guest speakers. In the entrepreneurship course, we had maybe 9 or 10 of them. So again, a lot of people from the industry teaching you what they are doing today, which is not the case on the Coursera course.
Yeah, if I may follow up, that's exactly what I'm interested in. It's funny, I was looking at some of the graphs you're doing from 2014. I'm like, these are amazing to see, but they're, old now,
It's
right?
outdated.
Yeah. And the second thing I wanted to ask is like my, focus is really on the commercial end of things. So I want to I work in genomics at Illumina, now I'm at diagnosis and proteomics. So marketing, understanding the drug process, and then how to, create commercial companies in parallel, right? That advertise and work with them. Would you say this is a good program that helps enable?
Naomi, why don't you answer that, please?
Yeah, I absolutely, to answer in short.
Yeah,
all of the peers too, I think is really relevant. It's not just the faculty who are in industry, but all of the peers surrounding you that you're working with in group projects are also in industry, if not like very in tune with their own, whatever sector they come from. So I think being able to pull that experience as well from them as you work is really valuable. And yeah, I mean, I come from, also, a lot of my peers were lab-based. I'm not lab-based. I'm more on the commercial side of things, like stage clinical trials, real world evidence trials, and everything I thought was super topical. It kind of lays the foundation for the earlier stages of drug development, which for me was really interesting because that's not my background. And then it even added to my own knowledge of, health outcomes, which is the area I specialize in. So for sure, coming from, commercial side of things, business development, you'll gain a lot.
I'll just make one other comment, is we have at least 6 or 7 alumni who had 0 marketing experience before being in the program throughout the years. And they are now, actually, I think the highest one is a marketing manager now. They are senior product manager for major companies in the biotech and pharma world. And they had 0 experience before they came in the program in marketing or business development or entrepreneurship. So if you already have some experience, you're going to get even more throughout the program.
Okay. No, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we had actually a student last year who had 20 years of work experience in sales within a major a pharma company. So just as a point of reference. There's another question about.
I'll take the question about recommenders.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so with the 3 recommendation letters, it's actually designed very in a very strategic, simple way. So when you are filling out your application, you'll see each section on the left-hand column. There will be, resume, upload your resume. Next, recommenders. When you're in this section, all you have to do is input 3 email addresses of the 3 recommenders you'd like those letters from, and then click a button, and they are automatically sent an email generated from UCSD on your behalf requesting for a reference recommendation letter for the drug development program. So they will see what it is specifically for. Of course, we always recommend to be communicating on the side, of course, with your recommender, so they're not just seeing this notification out of the blue. They have about, there's really no deadline when they can get their letter in. Of course, we would hope that they get their letters in long before the application deadline, because at that point we're already closing out our cohort. But you can also send reminders in the application system. So you can just go back into that section, click the button again, and they'll get another email to go ahead and upload the letter. And when they do that, they don't need to send you the letter as the applicant. They will just upload it with a link from UCSD themselves. That was a good question.
Thank you, Kat. A question for Naomi. What was your undergraduate degree?
I studied biochemistry and public health. Yeah, I think it's helpful to have the kind of foundational STEM, biology, chemistry background, but I will say I don't think it's necessary. There were people who came in without that. But it is helpful for some of the fall courses to have kind of the basic biology or chemistry principles down.
Thank you, Naomi. There's Yusur has a question. Please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Yusur. I'm actually a clinical toxicologist. I work in toxicology data analysis. I got my license last year, and I will get another one in cannabinoid drug development. It is actually cannabinoid chemist in December. So I know this program is a great fit for me because I want to do cannabinoid based drug discovery and development. So my question is, since I will get that certificate and a license in December, can I still submit my application before that, maybe in November, and or shall I wait until I got my certificate and attach it to my application?
You can always let us know and that you actually are going to get the certificate. As you know, as we discussed, what is most important is that you have some work experience, okay? And we need to look at that. So it's up to you. I mean, it's still early in the process. If you want to wait until December, that's fine. But I suggest maybe you reach out to Kat and you can discuss this a bit more, and she can already tell you based on your application.
Yep, and then I'll just add, when an applicant has an extra certificate or something and they want to upload, there is a section in the application system where you just select additional documents and you can provide anything that you think would support your application in there.
Okay, I see there's Victor had his hand up for some time. So Victor, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. I am on the South Coast, so I'm saying hello to you guys from there. So I want to find out, right? I do have a medical background, a strong medical background. I have worked as a doctor for some time, but I enjoyed clinical research. So I kind of worked in the clinical research industry for about 2 years, and I absolutely loved it. So taking this course, especially with regards to commercialization, because we want to ensure that no matter what kind of drugs are made, what kind of drugs are produced, people have the opportunity to purchase them, market access, right? But so I'm basically trying to find out for this program, what kind of job titles do people end up taking after the program? And I think you said the program is a straight 1-year program. What's the cost of the program as well?
So the cost is $32,000, as Kat mentioned earlier. In terms of titles, it varies from product manager, CRA, clinical research associate, vice president of operation, marketing director, regulatory affairs specialist, or manager or director. It's really a gamut, as I explained earlier in the presentation. And if you want more detail, one of the things I would do is just contact Kat and Cynthia, and they will give you a laundry list of titles that I don't have time to enumerate right now in terms of different jobs. So it reaches the gamut, all the way from preclinical, all the way to marketing, managed care, health outcomes, and so on and so forth. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does answer my question, but I'm trying to say, for someone who's worked as a CRA, what do you think is the most common area, or what do you think is probably the most ideal?
I can't tell you that, and that's the wrong way to think about it, because this program is going to open doors that you may decide if you're accepted into the program, that you may decide, actually, I don't want to continue in clinical trial management. I want to do something else. I want to go into marketing, or I want to go into regulatory affairs. So again, you have to have, another thing I didn't mention in my presentation is, in order for you to be successful in the program, you have to keep a growth mindset, okay? And maybe